You can't tell me all the things that people talk about, how God don't exist in the cities and ain't nobody trying to hear nothing about Jesus. Like, the way I move through the city and the way I'm always reminded everywhere I turn that there are so many people that love God, it's incredible. I'm talking like people have been incredibly generous. People have been saluting, celebrating the gospel being preached. It just makes me think also about how much we can be really insulated to only be around people who think like us. If we're not really aware that just because of what we see on our feed or the people that we allow in our lives, that's not the only representation of what exists in the world. There are people who don't think like us. There are people who are not living the way we think. And people inside and outside the church have a tendency to think that the world is only what's around them. I've been blessed to be able to have both conservative and liberal friends, to realize that both are Christians and that both can exist with different ideologies about how their Christianity should be lived out in real space and real time. What's the mature thing is when we actually make room for that in the kingdom. I talk often about the diaspora of the kingdom and how the kingdom is so much wider than we perceive it to be and so much wider than we allow it to be. What if we made space for God's kingdom to be as diverse as he intended it to be? You know, when's the last time that you sat down and were intentional to make sure that you have friends in your circle who think differently than you, so that you don't ever become the wisest man in your own eyes? That way you also have a pulse on the ways that love in all of its many forms can look different than the one expression that we've been exposed to. There's many ways that people receive love, there's different love languages, and there's many ways that love is lived out. But if we don't make space or time or even consideration that love can look different than the expression that we know best and the expression that we're most prone to display, then we automatically cancel out a whole aspect of the kingdom that is necessary to show the vastness and the glory of who God is. God is best seen in the diversity of the voices that we allow to speak up for him and about him. This is why I lobby for even my own self to be exposed to more thinkers and Christian philosophers and influencers and theologians who are outside of this Western context. The more that I've got a chance to grow in my faith and be exposed to a little more, to travel a little more, I've realized that I make God small when I limit the voices that can speak to me about him and teach me about his grace, who can teach me about his character, even the testimonies that I'm exposed to. These are all things that we must allow room for if we seek to be full expressions of his character, his nature, especially in a world as diverse as ours. Listen, the church is only growing, the church is only multiplying, and the church is only becoming more diverse, just like heaven. As heaven will be people from all nations, creed, languages, tongues, all that, the church is reflective of that. And if we open our eyes and see that that time is here and now, we'll not only make room for it, but we'll be challenged by it.